Right. So this is session two. So a very popular place we see this application of relevant costing, especially with materials, is in if you like in carrying out projects and trying to ascertain what the relevant cost is of, if you like, of carrying out this project. And sometimes it seems pretty obvious. Some are very straightforward. You wish to carry out a project and you just want to see what's the best way of deciding whether or not we should carry out this project. I mean, here we're just talking about the costs, of course. So it's almost like what are the marginal costs? Now, this is a good table. I think it helps. So say, for example, I mean, we've finished opportunity cost, by the way, so that was what we did in the last topic. So if you wanted to carry out a project and you needed stock and you just didn't have the stock at all, you'd go out there and buy it, right? You just go out there, buy this. It's a future project. You go out there and buy it. So technically, your relevant cost, of course, is the current purchase price, and the easiest option. So if you don't have something, you have to go out there. So whenever this any sort of input that you need that's not in house, you have to go out there and you have to buy it. That's the first thing. Now, here's the thing. If it is in stock, where there are two options. If it is in regular use, so if it is being regularly used for other projects or whatever, you're going to have to, well, technically ignore it and just buy your stock, right? Because if it's in regular use, well, if you use it, you're only buying it to replace it. If you don't use what's in regular stock, you're buying it to use it. So it's up to you. Key point is this is very similar to this one, of course, because you're still going to have to go out there and buy the stock either to use it or to replace it. The drama begins when you're not going to be replacing this stock. So the key point here is we have some stock that you won't be replacing, and again, you come along. So think about it. You go to the warehouse and you say, listen, guys, this stock, I need it. These kilograms. I can see it's been sitting here for a long time. Can I just take it? And they'll be like, well, we were intending to probably sell it. At least we were going to get the selling price for it. So at least you would have to, if you were going to buy it, you would, or include it as a cost. If you were going to get that stock, you would have to at least pay them the selling price, or the scrap value, should I put it that way, of it, if you like. That's kind of the first principle, the first way of thinking about it. So the relevant cost really and truly is that there's no such thing as a free lunch. It's nothing, no chance. There's always a cost. So the opportunity cost, if you like, technically, which is the lost scrap value, really is the or the lost contribution, if the materials can be used somewhere else, is the relevant cost. And then, of course, there's this, again, like I said, because we will do questions. No, so is there an alternative use for the materials? If you can't use it, again, well, you can only scrap it. So the relevant cost becomes a scrap value. And if you can use it for something else, you need to look at what it is you're missing out on as a result of you using those raw materials. Right. So any historic costs given for any historic cost. So you can notice here I have not at all at any time looked at the actual original cost of buying these raw materials. I'm making a decision now in the future. So even though I bought this cost for whatever, £1, if it's going to cost me £3 to replace it, that future cost becomes the relevant cost. That's what's important, the future. Right. Okay, so that's the first thing, and the same thing applies with labor, actually. The same thing literally applies with labor. So let's go back to the slides and then sort of carry on from where we were. And I'm just going to walk through a series of examples to kind of illustrate what we're talking about. So normal situation, like I said, completely out of stock, and it's something we regularly use, and therefore we need to replace. Well, the relevant cost must be the costs of buying in the raw materials, which is also the same thing as replacement cost. So let's look at this example. So, and again, this is good because what it means is that I can reference when we do this now, I can reference, when we're doing the exam kit, I can reference and say, oh, we've done this in the lecture, so we don't have to repeat it we probably have to actually repeat it in the exam kit questions. Doesn't matter. So an org is considering the cost to be incurred in respect of a special order opportunity. The order would require we need 1,250 kilograms of D. It is readily available and regularly used by the organization. So because it is regularly used by the organization, we could almost pretend we just have to go out there and buy this stock for our project. Fair enough, if you use the one in-house, you're going to have to replace it. This is almost irrelevant because whatever happens, if you take this, you're going to have to go out there and replace this 265 and then buy the additional stock you need. So you feel free to just sort of think about what's going on. So technically, what's really important here, of course, you're looking for, if I'm going to buy this stock again, how much am I going to have to pay? What is the replacement? It says the current market price is £3.24. So you will have to go out there and pay £3.24 for this stock, which is 1,250 times £3.24, which is 4,050. So your relevant cost, you going out there. I mean, there might be other costs, of course, but just in terms of this raw material, your relevant cost, of course, is B. Right, let's look at another one in this scenario here of just you just need the thing, if you like. So in order to utilize some spare capacity, K is preparing a quotation for a special order which requires 2,000 kilograms of material J. So K has 800 kilograms of material in inventory. It is used fine, but it says that it regularly it's readily available, and it says that is used in the company. Material J is used in the company, if you like, right? So it's not like we're not using it. We use it regularly. It's not going to waste. So we use it regularly. So material J is used in the company's main product L. So each unit, it's a key point here is I'm just going to have to go out there and replace any J I use. And really, J is $8. So that's 16,000. You're probably wondering, oh, and there was all this information just to throw you off. You know, it doesn't matter. Yes, you use 5. The key point here is they're telling you that they're using J, so you need to replace it. And we're just talking about the cost, right? We're just talking about the cost of replacement ultimately, which is 16,000. Yeah. So we'll see questions where we see some, of course, we have to think about all the other issues, but really here you are categorically replacing the stock. And your answer here is C. Right, so the second scenario, like we saw when we saw that scenario where we don't have it in stock, or we have to we don't have it in house, so we have to buy it in, or we have it in house, but we have to replace it. So again, buy it in. But we have that other scenario where we won't be replacing it. No replacement. No replacement. So like I said, by using the inventory, we're losing out on its scrap value, or the saving we might have made by adjusting it for another product. So this becomes the relevant cost. I say nothing is free, and this is a good example, I think, to explain this. So you have this UU company which has been asked to quote for a special contract, and the following information about the material needed has been given. This contract requires 10 kilograms of material X. And it says you have 250 kilograms of this material, which was purchased in error over 2 years ago. So we're not going to be using this material anymore in the business. So I could just sell this thing. I could just say, well, why don't we just get, at least if I sell it, it says the scrap value is 50p. If I sell it, at least I can get £5. At least we'll get £5. And that's one option. But I guess the question is, what is the other option? It says here that if we modified material X, so if we spent £2 on it, working on it, we could use it for another product, material Y, which we use regularly, and we would have to, for which we buy its own raw material for £6. So in effect, what could happen is that, well, I could just use this material X and therefore have, so instead of spending £6, if you like, I'm sort of saving, if you like, 6 minus 2. I'm saving, by modifying this product, I'm saving £4 on every kilogram, if you like, of me having to go out there and actually buy the raw material for material Y. So I'm saving £4. So I'm saving £4 on every kilogram that I need for material Y, and on 10 kilograms, that's 4 times 10, which is 40. So I have this a saving here of 40, which is relevant, if you like. I mean, think about it. I mean, whether or not it's almost like saying I got a discount of £40. I mean, that's the relevant saving that I'm losing out on if I choose, so to speak, to use these raw material to make our project. And this saving is much higher than the £5. So this is the relevant cost of 40, right? So relevant, like I say, relevant cost is really asking what are the other decisions that we could follow. Consider those when making a decision. Those are your relevant costs. Those are the relevant consequences that we need to basically think about. Okay, great stuff. So the answer here is 40. The answer here is 40. There we are. Right, and then this one, what we see is this situation here. It says that H has in inventory 15,000 kilograms of M. That's fine. This is a sunk cost. That's what you bought it for. We're not interested. For a product line which was discontinued 4 years ago. So it says M has no use in its existing state. That's fine. So we can't use M. What are our options? Our options are that we sell it and make £1 per kilogram. So that's one option. So we make £1 per kilogram. So worst case scenario, you can at least get £1 for each kilogram. But then you have another scenario here. You have this other product, HN, which requires 4 kilograms of raw material. So you could go out there and you could, to make each unit, you would need 4 kilograms, and you would spend $5, and therefore you could spend $20. Or you could modify M. Sorry, 4 kilograms times 5. Yes, 4 kilograms and £5. Or you could modify M at a cost of 0.75. So do some work with M, spend 0.75, and but you would need 5 kilograms of M. So in the end, you would, to make this unit, to get this unit of HN up and running, so you would need 0.75 times 5, which is 3.75. So to make a unit of M, you could go out there, and your options are to spend £20, or to do this modification at £3.75. Use and therefore use M, and in effect you would have saved yourself a cost of 20 minus £3.75 is £16.25. So you'd have saved yourself a cost of £16.25 per unit of HN. In effect, what you've really done is saved yourself a cost of £16.25 divided by, of course, the 5 kilograms of M, because it's based on the units of M. And you would see that what you have in effect done is saved yourself, if you like, as a result of that modification, £3.25 on every unit of M. And this becomes, if you like, I mean, this is the big cost for you. You have saved £3.25, and that becomes the relevant cost. So the answer here is D. So if you walk through this, you can sort of see that it's either the case that, listen, what are my options here? One, do I have to go and buy the thing? Or two, are there any other options? It's just the case I sell it, scrap, that's fine. Or is there an option where I can actually modify it and get some saving? And those are generally your three options. Right, I think, yes, I mean, I think we've actually covered most of the points. I think you can actually play around with these two, 77 and you will see these in the kit, so we will come across and come back to these later on. Okay, great. So yeah, we'll hold there, and then we will carry on with make or buy decisions in the next video.